by those who claim victory, controlling minds for 2,000 years, kept us in line by stoking our fears. No longer will we hide who we are. We're stronger together by far. We are witches, we shall rise from the earth into the skies. Unite.
Hello.
Hey,
I'm singing again, as usual.
I know. It's just, I don't know. It just doesn't
Catchy.
like us. I don't know.
It's
Yeah,
catchy.
we just blame it on we just blame it on that.
Yeah,
So,
exactly.
but anybody, anywho, I get it straight. It's been a long day. Mondays, I hate
it has been.
Mondays.
I hate Mondays, yeah.
Oh my God.
Cell phone
I
service
know, they should
stops and it's not working, and yeah, no kidding.
Yeah, they should just take Mondays and just swipe it up for something
Throw 'em
else.
away.
Fun day or something.
Exactly.
I know. But anyway, to the audience, welcome to Within the Cauldron. And tonight we do have another paranormal team that is coming at you. So let's get our spook on. And my dear sister, why don't you introduce our guests?
Absolutely. Darkwoods Paranormal is hosted by Raven Knight and Gabriel. Gabriel Von Graves. Two investigators driven by a shared passion for exploring the unexplained. Gabriel's curiosity began in childhood with experiences he still can't fully explain, grounding his work in skepticism and evidence. Raven is a fearless seeker of truth, always willing to ask the hard questions and step into places others avoid. Together, they balance belief with critical thinking, creative conversations that challenge assumptions rather than reinforce them. Through on-location investigations, compelling interviews, and first-hand encounters, they explore hauntings, history, Bigfoot, UFOs, folklore, cryptids, and the mysteries that push the boundaries of what we think we know. Streaming live every Thursday and Sunday, Darkwoods Paranormal invites listeners to stay curious, think critically, and venture into the unknown, because the best answers begin with the better questions. So with that, we should bring Raven and Gabriel up. Hello, Gabriel.
Hello, how are you?
Good. Hi, Raven. It's good to
Hi.
be here.
It's been a minute. Yes. I was going to say, I think we could call him Gabriel. That'd be okay. Gabriel.
We can pass on that.
Looking
That's okay.
good, Gabby.
He's in touch with his feminine side. I do know that. I did a podcast with you guys. He can do both,
We have a dog named Gabby. Just put it out there.
In Indiana Jones, and Indiana Jones was named after the dog.
Yeah.
Right, Indy. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's funny.
So I want to question you first, Raven. Okay. So
Okay.
you are known for going into places
Oh,
that others avoid. What drives that fearlessness for you to go into those places?
sometimes it's fearlessness and sometimes it's stupidity. I'm not quite sure which the answer is. Yes. We actually were just on the show last night and telling a story about how we went into a man's haunted house, which was legit haunted. He was a haunted collector of things. And to be honest, when we thought back about it, we're like, boy, that was pretty stupid. So sometimes it is just, instead of thinking first about it, just going in. I want to blame my Sagittarius self, because Sagittariuses are known for, yes, I know, look at a medium red over here. Like, we are known for that, just dive first and ask the questions later, which is not always the best idea, but I've always been like that. That's just who I am. I've done stuff like driven from Wisconsin to Maine on a solo road trip before, like without even really like without even having a real plan. It's just the way I am, I guess. But
Well,
yeah.
and to that, I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, isn't there a photograph of you getting into a coffin? If I
Yeah.
remember correctly, I thought
Actually,
I saw.
Gabriel and I both got into a coffin before. But that wasn't even, the coffin was nothing compared to what do you want to call those, like an ice chest or
Oh yeah,
like,
where they
and
store the cold storage for the bodies. Yeah.
yeah, we both have done that before as well. So that was even more than the coffin, because that one they actually,
At the door.
shut the door. Yeah. Yeah.
How was that? I actually thought about that. How did you both feel about that?
I'm going to answer first and then I'll let Gabriel answer, but I thought it was relaxing. I was like in there, I had my phone, I was trying to like record, any kind of like, if, trying to ask questions, see if we could get anything, but I was like, this isn't too bad. I actually thought that was more comfortable than coffin. So that's where I was at.
Spoken like a true paranormal investigator.
It's like, comfort level. This isn't that bad. Yeah. I just need this break. Leave me for a minute.
Leave me for 5 minutes and I'll be out in a second.
I probably do the exact same thing as you, Raven. I'm a Scorpio, and sometimes I can cut loose and just do some things that spontaneous, and then after I do it, it's like, okay, another stupid thing for me to mark on my calendar that I did.
What about you, Gabriel? How did you feel about that being in there?
I think there's some perspectives that the living shouldn't have or experience. I think to reflect back, I don't think the human mind is supposed to be able to be comfortable in like caskets or even the ice chest like we're at, because it is a very unique perspective, and it makes you reflect on your life itself. At least it did for me when I was sitting there. I do think that, as Raven said, it's a metal table, so it is cold. It does have the eerie element because people that are in there usually have passed.
Mhm.
The casket itself, I actually thought it was very uncomfortable as well. But
Oh, yeah.
they're not made for comfort. They're
Right.
they're made to be a resting place and for the living to come and mourn.
Right.
So you say that, but I think one of the things about that is when people have passed, they don't know, or like we assume, right? Like they don't know their body or their spirit isn't going with them into the casket or into the ice
Right.
box or whatever
Right.
you're calling it.
Correct.
So I mean, we've had people, when I posted that video, some people did say it was disrespectful.
Oh, they hated you for
shouldn't-
that.
They
Yeah.
did not like that. But
Yeah.
at the same time, I'm like, well, but that's not really disrespecting the
Right.
dead. Really,
Right.
it's just getting a different perspective, as you're saying. It's not like we're mocking, what people are going through. We were just trying to see if we could get any kind of responses. The
Mhm.
person who owned the place that we went into the casket at, she actually said that people had gone into the casket and had
Mhm.
more responses and more, so that's what we were doing. It wasn't
Right.
like we were just like, hey, let's get into a casket. It's funny and fun and, but that, I mean, it wasn't like we were trying to be disrespectful or anything like that. But, when it comes to that, I wasn't, my mentality wasn't like saying, oh,
I'm doing this for
the living,
fun.
yeah, or that the living is, not supposed to know what this feels like, because when we die, we won't realize that we're even there.
Right. Correct.
You'll be far gone before that even that element
Yeah.
ever enters anyways.
Right.
And
There was
that
a
wasn't a
spirit,
real
yeah.
casket. It was actually a show casket. It's a model of what it would be shown at a funeral home of what you could buy. So
Right.
Because we were at a funeral home. So
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Was it Coalfield Manors?
it was.
It was.
Yeah. Okay. That sounds familiar.
Good memory.
We had what's her name on the show? Now I totally am blanking out on her name. Coalfield Manor.
Heather.
The owner.
Heather.
Heather.
Yeah.
Heather.
Yeah.
Thank
Yes,
you.
yes,
I
yes.
can't
I was
think
like,
of last name.
Memories.
It's
I
Heather.
can't
Yeah.
think. Yeah.
I remember her
Yeah.
dog. What was her dog's name?
Oh, Sue.
Sue.
There was
I
a-
loved
there
her
was a
dog.
boy
Her dog
named
was awesome.
Sue. Her,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
loved
Boy
her
named
dog.
Sue. I love that.
We
That's so
wanted to
cute.
take her dog home with us.
Another thing that would fit in my pocket, just like Raymond.
That's what I was just thinking. You take it. He was like a little Frenchie. He was
Yep.
cute. He made weird,
Oh.
like snorty sounds
Because he was having a hard time breathing, but it's cute, you
just a
know?
Frenchie.
Yeah, it's fine.
Although when we were interviewing her, and we did hear a disembodied voice.
A couple times, actually.
When,
Wow.
Yeah,
Cool.
and I really hoped we had gotten it on the interview, but we didn't. But you do hear us, like you see us get distracted. You see Gabriel, or you hear Gabriel in the background asking if we heard a voice, and we had, because we were like, what is going on? Like, it's but the dog actually came over at the same time, and the dog started whimpering right as Gabriel said, Gabriel said what he heard was, "It's just me."
Yes.
And as soon as he said that, the dog, so Sue, started whimpering, and it was it was crazy that the dog actually was kind of responding to that as well. So,
well, we were interviewing Heather. You and Heather were interviewing. I was manning the camera, and then off to the side, there's a little room that's the embalming table, and I heard shuffling. I heard like whispering. So I kind of moved over to that area, and I'm like, "Is anybody there?" And then they responded, "It's just me."
I love it.
Yeah, and it was clear as day, and then the interview stopped because you guys were like, "What are you doing, Gabriel?" I'm like, "There's somebody back here,"
you see it. No, in the interview, you see her, like, she's very distracted
Yes.
when I'm asking
She
questions.
absolutely is.
You're moving over there. She's getting distracted. I had heard it, but I didn't know where I had heard it
It
from.
came from.
Like, yeah. And so I'm just like, okay, what? And then that's kind of how that all.
It was like a little boy voice, and the conversation was, "What are they doing?" I think is what I heard, and I thought maybe it was a bunch of kids on the other side of the building or something, but there really isn't. There's an abandoned building behind that, and that's why that got my curiosity. I'm like, well, there's nothing over there. We just kind of walking the building, So
Right.
it was very interesting. It was a very interesting place.
It was.
I think she said there was a lot of activity in the bonding area.
Yeah.
When you think of it, yeah. Because I think we asked her, like, what was the most haunted room in your home, and she said that was one of them.
The embalming. That was also where I caught an EVP. It was just basically a little underneath what I was saying. It went and again sounded like a little child.
Yep.
And then we did catch another like EVP too, as well. Actually, before we even got that little and I'm talking, and it sounds like I'm chewing
Something
gum. But I
yeah.
don't. But first of all, I did not have gum, and I don't chew like that. Now, but on the audio, it literally just sounds like just smacking, and then as I'm asking questions. But that was in the embalming area. Yeah.
It most certainly was. Yeah, very
That's
interesting
crazy.
place. If you guys ever get the ability to go and visit it, you definitely shall. It is a wonderful drive because it's beautiful in
say.
West Virginia.
Just
Right.
go for the drive itself. It was
Yeah,
a beautiful
it's a
drive.
small little town, and like a lot of small little towns, it's kind of abandoned. There's a lot of buildings that are beyond repair, and but there's just a really unique feeling in that it was an old mining town. So
Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
Beautiful there. Mm-hmm.
I love that she took the building over and that she, is breathing new life into it and allowing paranormal investigators to come in. What a great concept to do. It really is.
nice little store she has that you can buy souvenirs and stuff. It was definitely was a treat to be there.
I love it. So
she was
Gabriel,
telling us a lot about it too. And then one of my friends, Mimi Watson, who works for the SK Pierce Mansion, she knew her. So it was kind of like, it's like in the paranormal universe, it's like everybody gets to know everybody, and it's kind of
It's a small world.
It is a small world. Yes.
It is.
I think
Go
it's a big
ahead,
world,
sis,
but
I'm
a small
sorry.
world.
Yeah, it's a big world, but it's a very small world. So Gabriel, you had unexplained experiences since childhood.
That is correct. Yes.
What is that experience, and how have those early moments shaped the way you investigate today?
Well, as a young child, just like an adult, I have a hard time sleeping. I've never been able to actually, rest peacefully. And as a young child, I grew up in Farmington, Minnesota, which is a small little town, kind of by St. Paul.
Hmm.
And we lived in a generational house where my grandparents lived there before me and their grandparents before them. So my bedroom was upstairs, and I always had a hard time sleeping because I'd always see things. I'd see shadows and stuff. And as a young child, that was before ghost hunters, and there really wasn't any kind of programming other than Scooby Doo that actually, said. I mean, it's true that said anything about ghost hunting, right? It just wasn't a topic.
Right.
And so as time went on, I would notice my closet would open in my bedroom a little bit by a little bit. And this was a process within, I'd say a span of a couple years in my youth. And it got to the point where the door started opening, and I put the covers over my head. I was always scared. And then I'd glance over and you'd see a little hand kind of go, from the closet to open the door more. And then as time moved on, the whole body would kind of show up, the door would open, and there'd be this woman here with long gray hair. And as time went on, further than that, she would sit on the foot of my bed and rub my thigh, not in a sexual way, but kind of in a mothering, comforting way, because she knew I was always uncomfortable
You were
in the
scared.
dark. And yeah, absolutely, I was frightened because I didn't know. I'd see things in the corner, and I'd always feel things that weren't there. And I tried to verbalize it to my parents, but they had no idea. I was just a young child. They just thought I would lose my mind. And she brought me comfort with her being there. As she presented herself to me, I wasn't as uncomfortable. She actually made me comfortable, and just having her sitting in my bed and rubbing my thigh, it helped me fall asleep. And fast forward about 10 years ago, I'm in my 50s, and I'm sitting there with my mother, and we're going through an old photo album, and all of a sudden she flipped a page, and I stopped. I'm like, that's the woman. And she goes, well, what woman? I said, that's the woman that came from my closet. And she goes, when you're a kid? I said, absolutely. And I said, I remember her because of long gray hair. She had this, she was a skinny frame, but she had this big jewelry on. And it turned out that was my mother's grandma that I never met.
Oh,
So yeah,
I love that.
she actually passed in the house. So generational, she
That
knew I
makes
was
sense.
uncomfortable. Yep. So she came and made me comfortable.
I
And
love that.
and that was one of the first experiences I had that I remember. And I was just a young tyke, maybe 3 or 4, maybe 5.
And that's generally when most children, basically are aware of things,
Right.
and they speak, try to speak of it, so to speak, and so it's the adults that make it go away. Like, oh, it's just your
Right.
vivid imagination, you're crazy. What are you talking about?
Right.
And
Right.
nope,
Yeah.
it's true.
Yeah. Try to protect the children because it's like, we don't want them getting real scared. But then again, raising 4 kids in a haunted house, you just kind of give up,
Well, I think so.
Really,
I was just gonna say, I think we've talked a little bit about how like some of that is because as children, there's imagination, right? Children are susceptible to seeing more things, such as animals are as well. But then
Right.
adults, like we're told that nope, that can't be real. That's not real.
Right.
That's not real.
Right.
So we shove it away. So I think, and I hate that on like all of those TV shows too, like where there's always like either it's usually the husband or the parents of a child that are like, no, you're just seeing things. Like that's not real. Like don't.
It's your vivid imagination,
It's just your imagination.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well,
But
in fact, my
like,
parents
yeah.
made me talk to our
Yeah, that's
minister,
for sure.
and our minister was like, why are you trying to scare your parents? And I'm like, listen, I'm the one that's scared. And then they said, well, you're just seeking out attention. And I tried to explain, this is something I do not want, right? I mean,
Right.
this is something that keeps me in my bed. I'm scared, but there was really no outreach, at least in that time,
Yeah.
for people that were seeing things. So,
Well, we're in the same age bracket, so I understand completely.
right.
No, there's really not, and especially if you get raised in a Catholic household too, that's
Right.
like that's demonic.
There are things you don't talk about, absolutely. But the house was very unique. I remember experiencing a time passing that I couldn't explain. I'd sit there and be watching TV, and all of a sudden it'd be daylight. And I remember it being dusk because I had a hard time sleeping. So I always liked being in front of the TV. And then I would see people would come and shake me, and I'd see them run off like a game. And then there was a man that the only thing I can refer to him as the Hat Man, because I would look out my window and I would look down, and there was this guy always standing. I was on the 2nd floor, and he's always standing out kind of where by the street light, but further you kind of see a shadow, and he always had a hat, and he was always looking up at me.
Mm.
So,
Oh,
and I
wow.
remember every time I looked out there, I'd see him, and I'd get scared. I'd scream for my dad, and my dad would come in and wonder what's going on, and I'd say, "There's a man outside." We look outside, nothing there. But every time I would wake, I would look outside, and there he was. He was just standing up.
Wow. It's crazy. And he probably was somebody generationally from your house too, I would imagine, right?
Probably, yeah.
Wow. That is amazing.
That hat man, that tall hat man, he gets around a lot.
He
I
does
tell
get
you,
around.
because
He gets around.
I've seen him. My kids have seen him. Yeah, he gets around quite a bit. Yeah, I like to
It
have
must
his
be a
speed, I think.
representation of something. I don't know what it represents, but it's got to be something, because
Yeah.
it is seen a lot. There are a lot of folklore of the Hat Man, and
Yeah.
he was wearing a trench coat, and he had a hat, and he would raise his head enough where you could kind of see the silhouette of his face, just
Mhm.
enough to be scary.
Yeah.
But he would only raise his head when he knew I was looking at him, and you'd see him, and all of a sudden I'd look at him, and his head would raise. And
Oh, wow.
I often, as an adult, you think back of your childhood and your experiences you've had, and I always try to second guess myself if it wasn't that I didn't know any better. I
Right.
didn't know that
Yeah.
to make up these things, because it scared me.
Right. And why would you scare yourself? Why would
Right,
you want to? Why
right.
would you create something to scare yourself? That's the
Absolutely.
one thing the parents should ask the question, like when they say that to a child, like, you're making this up. Why would, like, the minister saying to you, like, oh, you just want attention? Well,
Right.
this is I'm scared as much as anybody. Why would I want to make this stuff up to be scared?
But it wasn't a subject that anybody
Yeah.
talked about. I mean, what's the minister going
true.
to tell me? You know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it was a unique area. We're by water, and as an adult,
Conduit.
being an investigator, all sandstone foundation, all that stuff comes into play.
It does. Totally does. Yeah, absolutely. Sorry,
Yeah,
Chrissy, what were you
it
going to
really
say now?
does. Oh no, it's okay. Raven, what's the moment in your investigative career that changed you the most?
Oh, Gabriel. I feel like I feel like we talk about the Sally House a lot. I hate to bring it up so often, but the fact is that it was a really big moment when it comes to like paranormal investigating, when it comes to a lot of things. Like in the intro, it's true. I am the person that went in, and I still do, like, seek things out, but we had this experience in the Sally House, and it wasn't necessarily what happened inside the Sally House, because we had so much going on, and especially at that midnight hour, everything switched, and the entire room, like the entire place, changed.
Mhm.
Wow.
It was actually, I was gonna say, when I was going up the stairs, it was midnight. Everything had switched. I didn't know what everything had switched. We just heard like maybe footsteps and voices upstairs. And I, of course, get up and start, hey, I'm just going to go and check this out. Like, here I go all by myself. And like Gabriel and our good friend Dave actually were like, oh, we should probably follow her. We should probably like not let her go up the stairs by herself. So they followed me. And at the top, like as I'm getting up those stairs, like, and of course, remember, I'm the person that goes into these places like on purpose by myself for fun. I was like, oh, my heart was beating fast. Like it felt really heavy. Like I was legit like, ooh, I don't even know if I want to do this. And then we got to the top of the stairs, and there was a room up that earlier in the night, nothing at all. Like I could have just probably slept in that room. There was no way in hell I was going to go in that room. There was no way. I was like, nope. But it wasn't. So that kind of would be part of that answer, because of the fact of like, here I go. Like, I want to go in a basement. I want to go in a tunnel. And this one, I was like, ooh, fight or flight was definitely kicking in.
Wow.
But I think it was more like, so after we were done at the Sally House, we'd left. We definitely felt like the ick when we left. We were like, okay, like brush this off. But it was the effects after the Sally House, and how like I had some of the worst luck ever after we left that house.
Wow.
And then we went back. So, I mean, it didn't change completely. It just did open my eyes to what what people don't understand when they're
Right.
doing an investigation is you do open yourself up to these things.
Mhm.
That's true.
Like, and it could follow you, and it could affect you, like, after you leave, not just when you're there. So I think that was the biggest.
Mhm.
Like, okay, maybe I do need to pay more attention and use protection or whatever I need to do, because whew, it was definitely something when we got out. Yeah.
Wow, that's crazy. Yeah, that is crazy. Yeah,
It
and it's
is.
true. A lot of people, they go in willy-nilly and not really. I feel like it's more the skeptics that walk in the door. Oh yeah, let's let something happen to me, and then they really don't think about it, and then
Right.
come back and say, "Wow, I had nightmares."
Should have done
and-
that.
Right, exactly. So
Yeah, like, or at least when you go, just make sure that you are protected and you
Right.
have like that sort of, because I believe in stuff like that. I believe in protection stuff. I used to be a lot more into the like mystical kind of stuff.
the crystals
And
and things like that. Yeah.
yeah, I used to be way more into that, and then I fell off on that. And now it's like I need to make sure that I am also taking care of this before I'm going into there.
Right. Well,
Yeah,
you have to have your
absolutely.
head right before you go in. You can't
Yeah.
go in thinking you
Yeah.
know better. I mean, you got to have a block as you
Or-
walk in, so nothing really enters. Yeah.
Or knowing that you can't go into a place when you're just not in the
Or
mind.
you're sick, or you don't
Yeah,
feel
you're sick.
good,
Like,
or you're having personal problems. You really can't
you shouldn't.
go into those elements because
Yes.
it will use those elements against you.
Yeah.
You're
Yeah.
you're in a vulnerable state.
Absolutely.
Very, very vulnerable state. So yeah,
Yeah.
it makes complete sense.
Yeah. So that's mine.
Gabriel, when you walk into a location, what's the first thing you intuitively are looking for?
When I walk into a place what I'm looking for is the effects of how I feel. I'm walking around. I'm looking for elements that would make noise. I'm looking at the floor. Is it old wood floors? Is it creaking? I'm looking around for anything odd when it comes to electrical boxes that seem to be open. Anything that would interfere with the way a person would feel when they're walking into an environment. I would look at any gaps in the windows and that kind of thing for outside elements making noise. Shrubbery, trees around the house, something that would make a dragging sound or knocking sound. And I do that, and I make a mental list. So, during the investigation, I hear those noises. I can look at those elements and rule it out.
Right. Absolutely. I love it that you succinctly said that, because that's what most investigators should do. Instead of just walking in the door and going, I hear knocking sounds, and all of a sudden it's just a tree branch that's hitting in the,
Right.
on the window,
Are you feeling breezes, and it's a window that's old and
Right.
painted over, just doesn't shut right or whatever,
Right. Well, and that's
You're also looking for like animal feces, that kind of things that can make little noises, or undelightful smells, things like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Which kind of gives me another question here, and either one of you can answer it. What questions do you wish the more people in the paranormal will ask when they go on investigations?
Do you want to take that, Rave?
I will start it. I'm sure you'll have an answer here as well, Gabriel. But I think one of the biggest things is like, what actually is the history of this place, right? Like they take it at face value a lot. I think they say, oh, again, we'll then we talk about Sally House, but there was a little girl named Sally that died here, and this place must be haunted by a little girl named Sally. However, there is no historical records that say that there was a little girl named Sally that died in that location. So like I think that people should really be a little bit more like in that, like not just take everything that they hear as face value, because that's just not the way it works. And we also know how stories pass from one place to another.
Absolutely.
They get overly
exaggerated.
Thank you. Like that's just something that happens a lot, and people just they run with it, and they say, oh, this must be true because I heard it from this person who heard it from this person. And it's a stupid game of telephone. So I think that
really
like they should really go in there and also question what they experience as well. Not everything is paranormal. just as
Right.
Gabriel was saying, like the house will make noises. These other things make noises. These other things could be causing those things to happen. So I think that that's part of it too. So I don't know,
That's a
Gabriel.
very good answer. I usually like to look at the individual that I'm interviewing that lives in the house, see if they're the one manifesting
Mhm.
these kind of elements. You know, when you're
Yeah.
checking, when you're talking to them, you're asking about their mental state. Are you happy? Are you hoping that this place is haunted? Stuff like that. Elements that that would bring in those kind of things. You know, I'd ask for religious backgrounds. You know, do you do Ouija boards? I think questions on the human element that's in the house is
Mhm.
very important because you can rule out a lot of evidence and a lot of the circumstance that happens that you could be
Right.
surrounding that person, not necessarily a house. Could be situational. I mean, is the house all messy and disorder? As we know, a disordered environment creates chaos. Chaos
Mhm.
invites stuff in.
Right.
Very rarely do I go to a place that is all nice and clean and put together, and there's any kind of elements when it comes to anything paranormal there. I'm not saying it happens. I'm just saying more often than not, when we go investigate a property, there's a great deal of disorder that
Mhm.
attracts that kind of activity.
Right. And
Chaos
very,
attracts
very
chaos.
well.
Chaos creates chaos. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
I
to
know
your
when
point,
I
I
watch.
had a
Oh, go ahead.
no, I was gonna say to your point, I had a case similar to that where the house was completely like almost a hoarder's house,
Mm.
Right.
and the ex was a drinker, and he'd come over to the house and they would fight. They created this whole negative manifestation of energy in the house. So you're absolutely 100% right on that.
Have you guys ever heard of Gary Spivey?
The name sounds familiar. I
He
haven't.
was a psychic, and he had a theory. He wears this really weird white kind of hair toupee thing on that he wears. um, and he had a theory that demons and ghosts and elements like that, they are like cockroaches, like bed bugs. They kind of attach to certain elements. And I
Mhm.
think there's a grain of truth to that.
I agree.
You know, if you're a chaotic person and you attract that element. There's demons that make you drink, sexual demons, you know, all kinds of stuff. And you can always tell from the eyes if someone's having, you know, difficulties in places, and when you're talking to them, are they fidgeting? What do their eyes look like? Because the eyes are the window of the soul, and you can always
Mhm.
see, at least in my
Mhm.
perspective, the
Right.
element
Oh,
of
you're
that
right.
in their eyes. Yeah.
Yeah, that's perfect. Very well said on that one for sure. That's totally true.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Wish more people thought like that too, you know?
Right.
But I think
Right.
that kind of makes the difference between an investigator and a ghost hunter, you know?
Right. Right. It does.
It's
It does.
good.
Very rarely, I think places are haunted. I think there's a lot of elements you can rule out. But the places that truly are haunted, like when you pay all these big money to go to investigate these properties, and one thing that I find annoying is that they dress up to be paranormal. You know, they
Yeah.
have some weird dolls or some Dollar Tree kind of, you know, trinkets on the side. And I think a lot of I'm willing to spend the money to go investigate a beautiful old mansion
Right.
for the delight of seeing the structure, you know, the craftsmanship that went into it. But when they start putting dolls and stuff and fake backstories, I think they do a disservice
Yeah.
to the paranormal world. I wish they would just let the environment tell the story itself.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Agreed. Totally
Yes.
I
agree.
went off on
I
a tantrum there. Sorry.
No, absolutely. I mean, this is
No, it's-
educational. I love it.
He's
Before
got
we
plenty-
continue, I want to bring up a question from David Wells. What investigation gave you a paranormal hangover, if any?
That would definitely be the Sally house.
Mhm.
And the reason being is because there was a situation we involved ourselves before we got to the Sally house. So
Mhm.
I think we brought elements from that
Yeah,
to the
we
Sally
did.
house.
No.
In us, Raven Knight, us, and a couple of the investigators are there. We actually ended up having nightmares for almost 2 weeks to up to a month afterwards. In fact, before the
Wow.
investigation, I actually had nightmares about there. And my nightmares afterwards was me actually waking up in the Sally house,
Oh,
and not
wow.
being able to leave that space. So to me, it's more of a psychological element. I do believe that there is an element of a portal there that does kind of enter into the equation when it comes to what makes the Sally house, even though it's not really the Sally house. There's no Sally there. But I
Yeah.
do think that
There's
it was
something.
probably broader because, as we know, people go investigate properties. They bring all their garbage with them to
Right.
manifest stuff, and they're trying to summon stuff because, you know, they're geniuses. And I think with all that energy there has created some
Mhm.
kind of portal, and you can feel that, as Raven talked about, feeling the environment switch. I mean, it
Yeah.
was a very comfortable
Mhm.
environment, as in, it felt like your grandma's house. You were
Hmm.
very comfortable there until it wasn't. And it was just
Yeah.
like a switch. It lasted about maybe an hour and a half, and then boom, it
And
was
it was done.
exactly back. Yeah. And
Yeah.
it was hard, like you're walking through molasses. It was hard to walk in that space.
The
And,
space that
and
we were just in.
yeah, and
Yeah.
we were sitting there with the lights off. We were just having a normal conversation. Um, the backside of it is the people that were that were manning the cameras were watching all kinds of stuff happen around us. We were unaware of
Yeah.
until this happened. All of a sudden, there are all these orbs, and I'm not a big orb thing, but these
Mhm.
orbs were not shiny; they were dark.
Right.
And we did an SS session when I was sitting on the bed, and you seen this great big huge black
Oh, that thing. Yeah.
mist that was over me, and as I was talking,
It was a
I was
shadow.
crunching further and further down because it was squeezing me. And a
Wow.
lot of the
Right.
elements that I was saying, that I was hearing, had a lot to do with a property that we were just at. And the backstory of that, if we have time,
Oh.
is that we were we checked into our VRBO. The gentleman that owned the property, he was there to show us the property. I've never we travel a lot. That's the first time that's ever happened.
Yeah.
I was
he
gonna
was walking.
say, yeah.
Yeah, you meet this guy. He's like, "Well, I want to show you around the house." We're like, "Yeah, okay." He was literally showing us how to turn on the water. This is hot. This is cold. This is
Yeah.
your light switch, and all useful stuff. If I never walked in a house before, it's good stuff. But I've lived as an adult for at least a year and a half. I'm good with it. And then he goes, "Well, why are you guys here?" And I think that was the element he was there to search out, not to show us around the property, but it's an area that we stated that wasn't really frequent. There's nothing there. So I think his curiosity came from, why are we there?
Yeah.
So he asked us, what are you here for? I'm like, well, here to investigate the Sally house. He goes, oh yeah, the Sally house, yeah. And then he was telling us that he owns a haunted church, and I'm like, oh, that's cool. And he goes, by the way, guys, I own a haunted mansion. It's just right across the street. Would you like to see it? And
We're
like a bunch of dumbasses, we put our phones down. Nobody knows where we are. We're gonna go in this guy's house all alone. He claimed to be a vampire. The house definitely had elements in it that I do believe only happens when you call negativity in a
Mhm.
space. And he had vials of blood on his mantle because he was a vampire. He had elements that I think shouldn't be interacting with each other. He was a collector
Mhm.
of
Mhm.
paranormal antiquities, is what he called them. Tapestries that would follow you. Everything had a backstory. Everything had its own element of eeriness, and you could just feel it. You were just drenched in this kind of sorrow that all these
Wow.
things had. And he had a backstory about his child being. He had twins. One twin died. The other one lived. And but there was no evidence that a child lived with them. So I think he went through such a traumatic event that he created an environment that he could live in. Right? I mean,
Right.
when the heart breaks, so does the mind, and sometimes
Right.
the mind has to come up with his own reality to get through. And he was a very, very nice guy. He does a lot of stuff for the community, but he showed us around every aspect of that house. I didn't see any element of any child living there at all, because, as we know, children come with messes and smells and all kinds of stuff,
Mhm.
and there was no
Teenage boys.
teenage
come with
boys. Yeah,
messes and
he
smell.
said that he had a teenage boy, and
Yeah.
he had all the pictures of his child that passed, but no pictures of the child that lived in the house. And it was a very unsettling situation. But the guy was very, very friendly, very, very nice. He didn't kill us, thank God.
We don't think he killed us.
No,
I mean,
he actually had
we
caskets
could
in
be in
his
his
basement.
basement right
Yeah,
now.
well, he had caskets in his basement. He had about 14, 7, something like that. They're all stacked up somewhere on the ground that he slept in. He had a raven, a live raven that
That was cool.
that lived in a cage that Raven Knight here was able to touch. So
I
it was
did
a
get
very
to
good
hold a raven.
experience.
Oh.
However, I do think that we did end up getting something attached to us, because I think it spilled over to the Sally house
Yep.
and amplified whatever was there.
100%.
Yeah, 'cause I was going to ask you, like, you talk about it changing, like, as an hour and a half, and it changed. Do you feel like
Yep.
it changed because of that? that happened prior, or is there something else that's going on in the house that
I think
still
that the
happens
house.
regardless of that?
I think the house changed. The witching hours, if you will, no pun
Yeah, it was like
intended.
midnight when it
Yeah,
changed.
it was about 1:32 o'clock, I think, is when it switched, and it was
No,
such a. Was it earlier than that?
12:04. It was
12
like
before?
12:04.
She's
I
like,
know
I
she
got
was
this down.
Listen.
12:04.
I just no, because I was like, it just switched, and I just paid attention to what.
Yeah, and I don't know what makes an environment switch like that. I do find that when we research these things, there is a time period that it seems to kind of interact with. So, I mean, when it switched, you could definitely tell. And it was only
Yeah.
upstairs, not downstairs. Downstairs
that's
felt a little bit
fascinating.
colder. It wasn't as comfortable, but as you walked upstairs in this property, there was definitely an element there watching you. And it was very obvious that it was watching you. It liked to,
Yeah.
it kind of enjoyed being able to toy with you a little bit.
Oh wow.
Yeah, it was definitely
Wow.
intelligent. We were chasing me and OG, the guy that was with us, Dave. We were smelling a wall that smelled like roses, like
Yes.
little roses. And there was an element where I was sitting on the bed and I'm talking to OG and he's kind of recording me, and all of a sudden this light. He says, "Do you have a flashlight on you?" I'm like, "I don't have a flashlight on me, brother." He goes, "Dude, a light just came from your groin," and it did. It came from me. It swirled around and vanished back in me. I mean,
wow.
it was a little light. So it was a very interesting thing. Unfortunately, the Raven Knight had bad experiences after that when it came to bad luck. I
Yeah.
enjoyed a little bit of bad luck, and we all had dreams for a very long time.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Actually, I didn't
Wow.
have the dreams. It was so funny because when we got done at that house, Gabriel literally said we are never going back there again.
Never.
And then we got invited back and we went back. But
Never
the
say
second
never.
time, but that
I
was
think
the
we're more
craziest part.
prepared for it the second time.
Yeah.
We were
you know,
more prepared for it the
Our,
second
our
time.
mental states were different.
We didn't have any of the same experiences at all the second
No.
time, except for the fact that when we got back, I remember, we leave. Usually when we leave from a place, we leave super early in the morning and we drive all night and whatever it is.
Yeah.
We get back to the house, and I remember I got back to my house. I took a nap on the couch, and I actually had a nightmare. And I don't have nightmares. And I was like, but we literally just got done with this investigation. I go home, I take a nap, and I had a nightmare that was, I mean, I can still remember this nightmare. Like, it was a vivid nightmare. And
Right.
I was like, I never have nightmares.
It was calling you back in a way. It really was. It didn't want to let you leave. It showed you part of itself, and it really kind of felt ownership of you. And I think that's the most eerie element of it.
Yeah.
That it actually
like,
followed
hey.
you back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
crazy. I do have to say, David, who said haunted hangover or whatever, I love that he said that because I literally say that. We've gone to places and I literally, it sucks it right out.
It does.
You
Yeah.
feel like you're hungover. So I love that somebody else uses that term. That makes me very happy.
Good
use that
question, by the
term.
way.
Shout
Great
out to
question.
David. Yeah.
Yeah.
It doesn't usually hit me the day after. It's usually the day after the day after. Like it's
Sure.
not even 24 hours. It's 48 hours after, and then I'm out.
Yeah. Yeah, it's crazy.
wild.
Sucks it
Yeah.
right out of you, though.
Yeah.
You could tell you're in a haunted location if you go into that place and you are literally like, "Ooh, I have nothing. I have nothing left.
Yeah.
Like I have
I
no
have nothing to
energy
give.
whatsoever." Yeah,
Sucks
nothing
everything
to
out of
give.
you. Absolutely.
Hey,
True.
That reminds me of the place in Durand, actually, Gabriel.
Sure.
When I left that place, I literally got home and I sat down and I told my son, I was like, I have nothing. Like I was so exhausted, and I was in.
You
that
should
space
tell him
for,
that
like,
story. That was a very unique story that we experienced.
yeah.
Well, I was gonna say you were the one who actually had a really, really good experience, and then so I don't know if you want to start
I
the
can.
story.
Sure.
Yeah, why don't you start it and I'll finish it?
In Wisconsin, not that far out of Menominee, there's a little area. I'd say it's got to be a couple acres that they have a preserve of this old house and an old log cabin and stuff. And I've never seen this property before. And I drove past it on my way to run an errand. And on the way back, I thought, I'm just going to stop by, right? Because I like history. I think a lot of paranormal investigators do. That's half the fun, is exploring the history of a place.
Mm-hmm.
So, I come across this place and they have this old raggedy log cabin that you can walk in. I'm walking in, I'm looking all over the place, and I'm like, oh, this is kind of cool. And then there's a plaque out, yonder a little bit. So I'm looking at the plaque, I'm reading it, and off to my left, I realize there's this white house. and it's just kind of sitting off in the field all by itself, and I'm like, well, it's kind of curious. It has a graveyard and a little shop kind of behind it, like a little kind of shack, and then it had an outhouse. So it was elements that are supposed to be there. And this is a historical site ran by the county. So I walk in there, I'm walking around the property on the outside, and I'm looking around, and I'm peeking in the windows. I'm like, oh, that's kind of cool. I mean, it's all furnished and stuff. And I'm looking through the front, and it's all nice, decorated in this really old furniture stuff. And I look to the right, and I see a figure walking upstairs. And it startled me because it's at 10 o'clock in the morning, and I wasn't expecting that. I mean, it gave you kind of a vibe when you're kind of walking around it. It felt out of place. But then I see this translucent person start walking up the stairs, and I'm watching this thing walk up, and I'm like, am I just seeing that? That's 10 o'clock in the morning. Of course, I didn't grab my camera because when things like that happen, your camera's right in your pocket. You don't bother. You're just watching,
Yeah.
So, I'm looking through the window, and I'm looking at my watch. I'm late for work. So, I'm like, darn, I got to come back here. And so first thing I do when I get back to my truck, I call Raven. I'm like, Raven, listen, after work, I need you to take this route here right by Menominee. There's this place. I need you to go and check it out. It's cool. Walk around the property. You gotta. I seen a figure walking upstairs, and I'll let you take it from there, Raven.
So, which is really funny because I said, well, I conveniently just happen to have ghost hunting equipment in my
Yes,
car.
absolutely.
Like,
Yeah.
why do I have a trunk full of ghost hunting equipment? I do, and I still do, and I probably shouldn't admit that, but I do. And I was like, yeah, all right, why not? I'll go check it out. So I make the drive after work.
Right.
And I was like, okay, well, this place does have a vibe to it, like it does just have this interesting vibe. And I already know his story. I already know what he had said. But I was like, okay, like I'm gonna walk up, go up to the front of the house, and I'm like, I call him because he's worried about me. He's call me when you get there.
Well, she's 3'2". She could get lost in the
Yeah.
tall leaves, right? So, I mean, there's long grass. I didn't want her to get lost.
Thank you. You are so kind. I am 5'2". Thank you. There might even be a half there.
My bad. My bad.
Take it.
That counts.
Right.
It counts. For
It counts.
our size, it does.
So I walk up, and I'm like, okay, well, I'm on the phone with him. I'm like, I'm gonna try the door. I'm gonna see if the door will open. The door opens. I'm like, huh. He goes,
And of course, I don't think of that
he
because
goes,
I don't
"Go check at
break
the
into
door."
properties, right?
Apparently I do.
So yeah,
No.
so I don't even bother with the doors because I'm like, well, I'm from the city. You don't leave anything unlocked.
And I'm a
Everything's
Sagittarius. I'm
locked
like,
up with
"Is
like
the door
chains and stuff. Didn't even think about checking the doors.
No, so I like, I'm gonna go in. I go in, I start looking around, I'm on the phone with him. I'm like, okay, well, this is an interesting place. Like, it does have this heavy feel to it. Like, it definitely feels interesting. And he goes, okay, now go up the stairs. And I go, Gabriel, there aren't any stairs. And he's like, go up.
I'm getting frustrated
He's getting
at this
frustrated
point.
with me. He's like,
I'm like, it's right there. Go up
he
the
is
stairs.
literally acting
Yeah.
like I don't know what stairs look like, and I
I'm
have no
explaining
idea how to
stairs
find
to her
them.
at this place.
He's
I'm
like,
like,
they go
you
up.
stick one at a time and they go up. Look for that. It's elevation. Find that, and I'm trying to explain stairs to her because I'm assuming she's just lost her mind. It's right there, I say.
He thinks I just can't see
Yeah,
these stairs that apparently are right there, but they're not
Right in
there.
front of your face. Your little 3'2" face,
It's
right?
right there. Yeah.
I'm short. I didn't see them. No,
That's right.
so- but I was like, but as I was on the phone with him, as I'm like looking around, I did look into a closet, and then it just hit me. I'm like, I should go back and look into this closet again. So I just open that door and I look into the closet, and I just see a shelf. I'm like, well, there's no stairs here, like whatever. But then I turn my head, and you see literally the bottom of stairs that are right here, and it's like, holy crap, because when you first enter the door, they have built a wall or whatever so you cannot go upstairs. It is covered now. There is no way to get up there. But in that closet, you see the bottom of the stairs. And he goes, how would I have known that? I said, I have no idea. I have no
And
idea.
there's no
Wow.
furniture in that house at all.
There's
I
no
said, "Raven,"
furniture.
I said, Raven, look around. It is fully decorated.
No.
And she goes, Gabriel, there's
There's
nothing here.
nothing.
I said, are you looking with your eyes? Because it's right there.
I'm like, listen, I know my eyesight's not that great, but trust me, I am not missing this. And it was very interesting. It was a very interesting situation.
I
I
love
don't.
the dichotomy between both of you seeing the same location, but through different, perspectives.
Yes.
Absolutely.
And he's even
I
like
think
take
we
pictures that
experienced
take
it in
place with
different timelines. I thought I saw it as a past timeline, and Raven saw it as a present timeline.
Yeah,
Right.
and I will say, so here again, I am by myself in this place, which I've got some equipment, so I'm like, okay, well, Gabriel, I'm gonna hang up on you because I'm gonna do a little quick investigation, and I'm in the space. I'm trying to get like EMF detector. I'm trying to do some readings, whatever, and as I'm walking out of that room and I'm walking toward the closet door that I had just saw the stairs and stuff in, and that door is shut. And as I have this on camera. I still have not posted it yet because I also know how people are in comment sections.
Yeah.
But so I start walking toward that door. And so you get my camera, like it's looking at that door and you see how shut it is. And then I start to turn to go into that next bedroom. And as I'm turning to go into that next bedroom, you hear a click. And you hear me just like have a heart attack. The door has literally opened by itself. It is opened about an inch. And I was like, every part of me, fight or flight. Like I wanted to peace out. I
run.
knew I wanted to go, but I said no, 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 no. I like you can hear it, and that's the other thing. You can hear how I was like, oh my gosh, like I'm like having a moment on camera, and then I was like, but nope, we can't do that. So I end up opening the closet door. I film inside, like there's nobody there. I close the door again. I close it all the way. I walk by it. I'm like, okay, we're gonna see if I can recreate this because maybe I walked by and maybe I bumped something. Maybe this happened. Maybe it was the air from when I walked by. I don't think I walked that fast by it, but whatever. So I'm literally trying to recreate it. I walk by it. Nothing. I go back. I start jumping up and down, thinking that maybe, like my footsteps, whatever it is. I even have the door. I closed it all the way. I closed it part of the way. I could not get it to redo it for the life of me. So, of course, I call him. I'm like, holy crap. The door just opened by itself. And then I did end up staying for a little bit longer. Actually, I stayed for a little bit longer to see what else I could get, but that was it.
And
but
they did have plaques in there about the old occupants.
But the people, yeah.
Yeah.
There was a whole family. There was a woman who wrote, there was a thing about, she was an author. I can't remember exactly what she wrote a book based on the family. That was her family that had lived in that property. But that's why it's like a protected place now because she was like some famous author. The book that she had went out. And it was actually a well-known book. But I mean, you got the feeling in that space too. Like I literally got the feeling of that they were watching me. Somebody was watching me. They didn't want me there. Like I got that feeling. It wasn't like malevolent, but it was just like, why are you in my space? That's the feeling I was getting.
You're in my home. Get out.
Who are you?
Who are you? Why would you walk right in my house? Yeah. Right.
Like that's the exact feeling that I got. It wasn't like malevolent, but it was definitely like, I see you. I don't want you here, and don't be here. That's exactly. But ever since I've been there, I keep telling Gabriel, I'm like, we need to go back.
We gotta go back.
No, we got to go back. I want to see if what else we can get, and that's in this location. But it was
and to see if maybe Gabriel picks back up again, like the stairs are there, and I see somebody walking, and I see the furniture. I mean, that was like when you were telling the story. I mean, it was a perfect segue to doing that because you're so engrossed in seeing this house in your mind,
right?
And then you're like, "There's no stairs, there's no furniture." It's like,
I mean, it was a beautiful banister, and that's why that struck me first was it was white. Someone painted it white, and it was so beautiful and went up as old wood. It was kind of rounded, And then when she told me it wasn't there, I'm like, you don't understand. There's steps. They're right there. I'm trying to tell it. It's right there.
Live on air, you never told me that the banister was white.
It was a white banister.
Do you know that the bottom of the stairs were white?
No. Well, now I do. But it was a white stairs, and then I saw this thing moving, and it was a she, and she looked at me. She was wearing like a nightgown, and she turned at me and then started going up the stairs, and that's what struck me is there's something moving up there because it was so translucent. You can you can see the figure, you can see the shadow, the outline of the face and stuff. But it had long hair and it was a little bit shorter, and she was just kind of going up the stairs, but she was gliding though, you know. She
Yeah.
didn't have the movement as you go, she was just gliding.
Yeah. Was it you weren't getting the?
Yep.
Wow, that's incredible. I love that. That's
Yes.
you can have an artist, draw what you saw, Gabriel. I mean, that would be really cool.
Yeah.
I have an artist that I can refer you to. I'm trying to think. I'm trying to remember where he's out of, but he's I think he's in Florida actually. He does all of my spirit art for me that I do. And so, like for instance, when I like the investigation I'm going to in Michigan, I already have the little boy drawn, ready to go. In fact, David, the one that you're seeing on here, Sure Paranormal, I've actually even submitted the drawing to him so he could see, this little boy. But I take the description and basically like talk about everything, and then he draws it. It would be really cool if you did that, Gabriel.
Oh,
Yeah,
that would be
absolutely
so cool.
would be.
And
That
then to
would
show
be-
Raven, so Raven would be able to like see it through your eyes. It's
Right.
really
I
cool.
love that. And I mean, I would assume because it is part of a historical society like building, there should be some sort of blueprints or something, right? Like you would
Or
think that they would
pictures,
have
usually.
Photographs,
pictures of something, yeah. And I do know it was funny because I was on the phone with him, and there is a thing about the person was a writer, right? So she wrote stuff about being in the attic and the family being in the attic. And so I think that those stairs do lead up to the attic. And I remember what I was telling Gabriel on the phone when I read this little plaque thing about that, which he didn't go in the house. He had no idea that this plaque even existed about their.
Why would I even check doors to see if they're
Remember, he's not a Sagittarius.
Yeah, he's not a Sagittarius. He doesn't check the door.
we don't break into things.
Yeah, neither does Sagittarius is. But yeah, so I wonder like if that's that the attic was, I don't know, just the hiding space of.
Sure.
Well, it's interesting that they walled it up too.
Well, I
mean,
suppose for insurance reasons that the county can't have people walking upstairs, unsupervised. So.
huh,
I don't know
that's
how
really
good the
wild.
stairs are.
But that would be interesting if you did get in touch with an artist and
Yeah.
they come back and tell us what the artist did. I mean, that'd be really interesting to,
Oh, sure.
for us to find out, because I think every one of us is curious now.
Yeah, we are. You've got us rope, line, and sinker. I
It
wanna
was
know.
a very beautiful house. I mean, there was nothing about it that was glamorous, but everything was very nice,
Yeah.
because that's just how they lived back then. I mean,
Well, they
it
took
wasn't-
care of their things back in that
Absolutely.
day. It wasn't a disposable society like we
Nope.
are in now. So,
No.
oh gosh, wow.
You have also, I mean, in your bio, you talked about Bigfoot, UFOs. So have you seen any Bigfoot or UFOs that you would like to tell us about?
Oh, Gabriel. So Gabriel is a non-believer when it comes to Bigfoot. So we've had a lot of shows. We've had lots of Bigfoot people on, especially very recently. We've had a lot of people that have had experiences with Bigfoot. And he definitely is a skeptic when it comes to Bigfoot. But, it is it's kind of a funny joke on the show, and it's been a funny joke for a hot minute. He flip-flops, between whether he believes or not. And
Well, I've had a Bigfoot encounter.
that's what I'm saying.
I just don't know if it was
flip-flop.
Bigfoot.
You have so many times. There's probably at least 10 episodes where he is like very much against Bigfoot, and then one day he suddenly realized he had had a Bigfoot encounter.
Yeah, it's true.
And it was
true.
funny because he was with one of our friends who called me and then said, "Hey, you'll never believe this, but I think we have Gabriel. I think we switched him."
Yeah.
He's like, I convinced him. I'm like, "What have you done with Gabriel? Is he okay?" Like, I was concerned. But and then he kind of goes back and forth between the Bigfoot. That's why we talk about Bigfoot a lot, though, just because we know there's a lot of people out there that have had experiences. I have never had a Bigfoot experience. I know Gabriel's had a couple questionable experiences that could or could not be Bigfoot.
I think it was a shapeshifter.
Yeah,
I think that's what I encountered.
it could be, though. I mean,
Yeah.
that all makes sense too.
Yeah.
Yeah. When it comes to aliens, like Gabriel and I have both lived in the country, so like we've seen strange things. I've never seen an alien. Listen, I would rather meet a Bigfoot than an alien. I think I say that now, and then I'm not
I
sure.
was just gonna say.
Aliens have always terrified me.
Sure.
The idea of being, and I think the idea of being abducted out of your house and not having any control of your situation is really what it is.
Right.
Well, Bigfoot isn't known to sew up a fetus in you and then come and extract it out from you later on. I'm just saying.
He's not.
No,
He just
that's why you have to
smells
fear
bad.
the aliens. They do.
He
Hey,
smells
listen.
bad and acts like a toddler. Like
Right.
I can handle that. I could handle a Bigfoot.
Right.
I'll be like, listen, Harry and the Hendersons. It was one of my favorite movies. Listen, we can be friends.
Yes. You know, we live in the country too, so we see some strange things in the sky.
The
all the
sky
time.
does come alive sometimes.
It
Absolutely.
does though, and you're like, it's not
It
a
does.
star, plane, like, yeah.
Oh yeah, it
Well,
does. And
we
for
had-
Bigfoot, same thing. You know, we
had
really haven't seen Bigfoot, but my husband might have came close to one, but we don't know for sure yet. But that's another story.
well, we had the two gentlemen on that talked about Bigfoot, and then we had I don't know if it was Lady Wolf that was on. Can't remember who it was, but somebody. It was pretty funny how they said it. They said something like, I'm not sure that I'm a believer of Bigfoot because, for all the years that Bigfoot's been out, why don't we have a photograph of him,
Yeah.
I thought about that. I'm like, that's true. We all have these. So why is it that we don't have a photograph of him? I hadn't even thought about it from that perspective, but it was
Well,
funny.
I know 14 Tennessee, or was it? Yeah, Tennessee. They that's what they specialize in. They go out and camping every, I think, May and September maybe, to try to capture Bigfoot.
Oh,
Right.
sure.
So not capture, but capture a sight of him, I should say.
Yeah.
And that's a really, really interesting story about that. I mean, if you ever want to do a Bigfoot podcast, I will recommend them because that was really interesting.
Well, absolutely. I think
definitely.
Bigfoot is a very fabulous subject. I'm a disbeliever, but I'm curious. And the reason being is because I feel when things are commercialized, Bigfoot is a $1.3 billion monopoly when it comes to souvenirs, right? And when something becomes that large and commercialized, I think it really does remove the value. Thank you, Raven. Remove the value of what it is.
Every
So-
episode, every show.
Yeah.
Every show.
Yeah, but I want to believe. That's what I think as investigators in paranormal people, cryptozoology, however you want to encompass. I think the curiosity is being able to go and not prove it, but be curious enough to continue on.
Yeah.
Right.
So I mean, with the experience that I've had, I want to believe that there's a Bigfoot, but to me, it's just not plausible.
I don't know. I still think it could be. I'm still there. We had the last person that we had on to talk about Bigfoot was a very
The Iceman. Yeah.
No, not that guy.
I mean, that was a Bigfoot.
That was
Yeti.
Joel. We had Joel Sturgis on last night actually, and he talked about the Iceman, the Minnesota Iceman, which was a Bigfoot, which is an interesting story. You really should check it out if you haven't heard it. But we also had Matt Langford on the show, and he came up to us at the Bigfoot. We did go to the Bigfoot convention or Bigfoot festival in Stanton, Kentucky, not too long ago. And he came up.
Beautiful area, recommended.
Oh, I loved it there so much. But he came up to us and told us this amazing story about his Bigfoot encounter, which legitimately changed his life. He never believed in Bigfoot, and then he saw this creature across a field, and it changed everything for him. So we had him on the show. It was a very, very interesting story that he told. And I was like, I don't know. I mean, I think that at the very least, he believes it was a Bigfoot. I know that we've had a lot of people on the show that believe that what they've encountered was a Bigfoot. And again, on our podcast, when we have people on, when we interview people, we don't try to discredit them. You know,
Right.
they have a story to tell, and it is important to let them tell that story. You
Right.
know, whether we believe in that story or not, like these people that come on, they 100% believe that this is what happened.
But
Right.
as a secondary theory, just recently, as Monday, I was driving. I live in the country. I was driving down my country road out of leaving my house, go to work, and I saw a bear.
Mm.
This bear actually stood on its two hind legs and ran. Right,
Mhm.
it had human elements as it was running.
Right.
And it wasn't a Bigfoot that we saw. I was with my son. It was at 7 o'clock in the morning. It was a bear.
Mhm.
So I can see, as I picture that thing running away, I can see how people would mistake something like that as a Bigfoot.
Right.
We just had the perspective that we see them all the time, right?
Yeah.
So I
Yeah.
know what it is, but they do stand up, especially when they have that
Yeah.
human element after they run and they're in weeds and they kind of stand up. They do that little,
Yeah.
they do have the mind is wired to recognize things. So when it sees things it doesn't understand,
Or
what
fill
does
in
it
the
do?
blanks.
It
Yeah.
tries to fill in the blanks. So I
Right.
do believe that it is very possible and feasible that what people are seeing are bare elements in their mind is
Mhm.
just making sense of what they're seeing in terms that they can understand.
Sure.
Right.
Well, or you think of the Beast of Bray Road. Beast of
Right.
Bray Road is probably a
mangy
wolf
dog.
with mange, or a
Yeah.
dog with mange. That's probably what it was, and that makes 100% sense. But you know, at the time, like somebody, or you know, it's the power of suggestion, right? So
Right.
somebody says, "Oh, this big beast like followed me and chased my car," whatever it was. But then other people, when they see something, they're gonna, "Oh, this must be the same thing." Like
It's Bigfoot. Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
You were chased by Bigfoot. It sounds similar. It sounds exactly like it. You know that.
Yeah.
But on cryptozoology, I can tell you that I've seen things that aren't that makes me believe that there's something out there. I was cleaning my garage one day, and it was at 3 o'clock in the morning because mind you, I don't sleep very well. And I was cleaning my garage, as any guy knows. When you're working on projects, for some reason your tools get spread out everywhere, and then you get tired. So you're like, I'll clean this up later. So I get up, I can't sleep. I'm in the garage, and it's summerish. And I was only last year, and I was picking up all my tools, and then I heard a goat. Now I have cows, and I don't have goats, and it made that goat sound, and it was right outside my windows on a garage. The windows are a little higher up, about head
Right.
level. And I stopped and I'm like, well, that's unusual. I live by a lot of Amish people. And I thought, well, it's not unheard of for their kind of animals. I mean, to get out. Right. And then it did it again. And I saw something in the window. So I went out my back door of the garage and I saw this thing. It was skinny. It was tall and it was running and it leaped over the fence where, it separates the field for my cows. And it leaped it and cleared it in such a manner that it was like not even there. And then I saw it just blaze through our field. I know what I saw. I heard the goat. It wasn't a goat that was running. I do believe it was a shapeshifter. And I can't explain where shapeshifters come from. Wendigos, I know Wendigos were a product of the Native Americans, right? So, is that a breed of a Wendigo, or is a Wendigo a shapeshifter? So there are things out there that I think does kind of yield to, we don't have the answers. Bigfoot, perhaps, dog man, who knows?
Yeah.
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 Well, it's just something we gotta let as podcasters, we just have to let the audience, decide. Be
Absolutely.
neutral and just make them let them decide. And speaking of podcasts, you do now. It's down below, going across as a banner.
Darkwoods Absolutely.
Yeah, and your TikTok and also your YouTube. I hope it's correct.
It
That-
is.
It is.
Yay me!
Yay.
So,
Yay, you.
I did something right. No. So, how long have you now? Are you podcasting together as host and co-host at the same show? Right?
Yeah, about 2 years.
Yeah.
2
Yeah.
years.
I think.
Oh,
Yeah. Wow.
Going on to 3, maybe.
I think we're going on to 3 now.
3, yeah.
Well,
We've been
congratulations.
we had
Yeah,
such a
awesome.
wonderful roller coaster. I mean, we've been all over the place. We've met
Oh yeah.
wonderful people. I mean,
we've
it's
met
hard
the
to keep
coolest
track of all the
people,
places
yeah.
we've been.
I was gonna say we launched our podcast. It was the craziest idea, but it was brilliant via Gabriel von Graves. We
Right,
launched our podcast in Eureka Springs, Arkansas on Halloween, and this will be the third
The zombie crawl.
zombie crawl. So that
Mhm.
means this is coming on 3, I think, Gabriel.
Yeah, it is.
Wow, that's
Holy crap.
awesome. I love it.
Actually, so before we got together and did this paranormal podcast, I did a true crime I did 2 true crime podcasts
Yeah,
before that.
true crime.
True crime. And then met Gabriel, and he wanted to do a paranormal podcast. And interestingly enough, at the same time, the true crime group, because there was about 6 of us, I took a 2-week hiatus, a little bit of a break from being on the podcast. And in that 2 weeks, they all got into a giant fight and broke up. And Gabriel was like, hey,
You got some free time. How about we
got
talk
free
about
time.
ghosts?
Yeah. No, and I've always been very much interested in the paranormal. So yeah, it was just a natural, yes. Like, yeah, let's do this,
Awesome.
So yeah. But gosh, that's crazy to think that it's been, this
3
is the
years.
third. Yeah. Eureka Springs, Arkansas. That's always going to be a real cool, special place, just because we launched this podcast right out of there.
That's awesome.
It was very cool.
That is.
Are
Yeah,
you
that's
going to do
very
more with the true crime? I thought I saw something.
We actually will be doing
Are you
True
weird?
Crime
She's doing this.
Wednesday. Yeah.
She's doing this.
We will be doing a True Crimes
feel like-
Wednesday, so we're
I feel
looking
like
forward to
you're paying
that.
attention to
Yeah.
what I have going on. I love that.
That is awesome.
I do.
It's
I actually
been,
marked on it and said, I love the direction that you're going to go with this, because I think I knew what was going on. So
yes. So I've it's the same thing as paranormal if you think about it, right? Like there is a mystery. I'm always about the unsolved cases. That's usually my forte. Like I shouldn't say forte, but that's just something that I'm very passionate about. Is something that's unsolved. So even when I worked on other true crime cases, that was my main goal when I was doing true crime podcasts was at least to get one solved. Like I would love to help a family out and get a case solved. And actually, ironically, that being said, like I've been a special guest on Speculating Wildly About Crime a couple times. That was the podcast I used to be on. My old former co-host on there, she's still running it. I've been a guest on it because one of the cases that I initially covered, the New Hampshire cold case unit, has reopened that case because we've had people on that show come on that show because they saw our coverage on it. So like they have reopened the case, which is kind
that's
of amazing.
awesome.
Yeah,
I love that.
Yeah. So I mean, it's always been, but I love a good mystery. So paranormal also is a mystery. Everything in the end is like,
Yeah.
what is the answer here? So it kind of it ties in together pretty well, if you think about it.
It does. Totally. I can totally see that. That's awesome. Yeah. I can't wait to see that.
Oh, good. Well, we'll keep you posted when we.
Yeah, keep me posted.
Yes, definitely.
Absolutely.
Sis, do you have any more questions for them?
I don't. I just absolutely want them to come back so we can talk more. I mean, it just like an hour went like this. So
Yeah, sorry about that. We start gabbing.
No,
and it goes
that's
by.
what I'm saying. I loved it. It was
That's
like perfect. This is a great podcast.
Yes,
I knew you guys
thank
would be.
so much.
I knew you guys would be.
Yes, thank you so much.
Yeah, you've been on our show before, and you were also amazing. And I think everybody should definitely check out that episode as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Sure.
yeah, you're great. So
Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Well, to the audience, hope you enjoy the show. I know Sis and I did. And you heard it from here first. They're going to come back on sometime. We will squeeze them in, of course. And I just want to say to jump over to their darkwoods.paranormal.com, their TikTok, and also the YouTube. Give them a thumbs up, subscribe, and check them out. And then hopefully you will like it, because I know I'm checking it out. I already subscribed, so I saw it today. Oh, subscribe. I'll be checking it out tonight. So
Well,
yeah.
good, good. I mean, we will go live every Thursday and every Sunday at 7 p.m. So like we're putting that out. Again, like Gabriel said, we're probably coming out with another show.
Right. Well, we
starting
do other podcasts. The people that sponsor us, the Overlord umbrella that we're under is actually Unboxed Media LLC, and we do other podcasts as well about the psychology of human nature. I do aging with dignity. I do one about seniors, and then we'll be doing one about true crime. And it's actually the dark side of human nature. And we'll be covering also the business side of it. There's a lot of businesses that you could say is a true crime as well that defrauded. So I think that's a very interesting element that
Absolutely.
we're going to try to add in there. So check us out, darkwoodsparanormal.com or unboxedmediallc.com.
Awesome.
Wow. Thank you for that. And yes, check it out. I will be checking it out too as well. And I just want to say, everybody, good evening and many blessings to everyone out there.
Absolutely.
Please subscribe to Within the Cauldron. Give us a like and a share. Go over to mediumredaz.com. Check her out. She does fabulous readings. And until next time, everybody, you have a great night, everyone.
And
Blessings.
stay with us for just a few more minutes, guys, after
Yeah.
our
Absolutely.